everyone. I apologize for the delay in regards to making videos. I literally thought that cleaning my computer would not take 3 whole darn days to do, but unfortunately it did. I have no idea why, because usually it does not take that long, but I needed to make sure that it was clean and that there was no bugs or any of that nature. So, yeah, that's why there had to be, unfortunately, a delay, even though I thought there wasn't going to be a delay. But now I am back, and I'm going to be making 3 videos today, so I will be caught up. So without further ado, for this Random Talk Sunday, I thought it would be interesting to discuss, something that I think is very prevalent in today's society, is something that I think a lot of people within my generation have seen or have experienced or have been around this kind of mentality. And as you can see from the title, this focuses more on the me generation. Now you might be wondering, what is the me generation? Well, the me generation is literally, in a little sense, it's what it means. It's about me, but it's not about the me as in an individual. Individuality, I believe, is totally different from this me generation that I'm talking about. The me generation that I'm talking about is based around an ego. And it's not like the good ego where you feel satisfied on what you accomplished or what you've done, but this ego focuses more on attention seeking. It's all about me, so to speak. I think we can clearly see this established through social media. If you take the time to look into that, you will see a lot of me generation in there. And also, the problem with the me generation, I find, is that not only does it derive itself from the kind of bad egoism, but it thrives on this idea of, I don't need to self-improve. I don't need to try to be better. I'm already perfect the way I am, and I don't need to think back and reflect onto things that I've done, because I'm me and I'm not perfect. And I know the idea is yeah, we as individuals are not perfect and we're not going to be perfect, but the idea being is that the me generation doesn't want to change for the better or improve outcomes. They just want to live in this state of ego asphyxiation where it's all about me. I don't need to change. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do anything because I'm me and I'm awesome. And this mentality, I think, is just very destructive in nature. And it's not so much too about really going after your desires in life as it is so much about, I think those desires should be handed to me on a silver platter. I expect to be in this and this position at this and this time, or I expect every single level of treatment to bow to my every whim. And this is not a good, I think this is a horrible message to send to people, because it shows a lack of effort. It shows a lack of trying to put thought and time and energy into something in order to get something in exchange. And it said, and as a result, we get this idea, this this generation of people who've adopted this idea that I should get things and not have to put any effort into them. I should be automatically handed the best car in the lot. I ought to be handed the best looking guy or gal that walks across the street. I deserve, it's all about me. And I think this mentality came about from from a lot from the parents who've put this ego up on their children by saying, yeah, you're the best, you're the greatest, all person in all time world, you're this, you're that, nothing is gonna, get you down or blah 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 because you are invincible and blah blah blah. And and this idea really stirs, I think, some it reinforces that mentality of I don't need to think about others, and I don't really need to focus on improving myself as a human being. So that's where you get this whole over excessive social media from, partially, not all, but partially. You get it from these people who always want to be the center of attention, who don't mind taking responsibility unless the responsibility is how they want the responsibility to be, as opposed to saying, no, okay, instead of just going along with what responsibility they were given. So yeah, it's this whole idea of I can get whatever I want and I don't need to try. I don't need to invest. I don't need to put in any energy, any time, any effort. All I need to do is just be me and then everything will be okay. And I don't need to listen to any of the outside world. And I don't need to take any constructive criticism. And I don't need to do anything to improve myself. And I don't need to take that responsibility. And I think this is where we get this bossy mentality too, where people feel like that they can bring out that negative energy onto people and say, no, I don't want it that way, I want it this way. And just make it all about them, as opposed to what ultimately the mission is, or the task that needs to be done is. They focus on what they want. They don't see things through anybody else's perspective. And this is again why I emphasized in one of my other videos why empathy is so important. But yeah, this me generation has definitely not helped, I think, with relationships. I don't think it has helped improving people's career outcomes. I think it is dampered and really torn apart this generation that I'm in, and I think this meism, instead of willing to compromise with people, we're just saying, no, it's my way or the highway. And you can't live life like that. You can't. I mean, you're not going to get what you want 100% of the time. That's just not how life works. And yeah, you're going to have to do some stuff that you don't want to do. And that's why some people can't even understand that. They can't even fathom, that I have to do things in life that I may not want to do, but I do them so that maybe I can get an outcome. It's that whole idea of, I'm willing to take on the step of taking so much responsibility, but only if it's done the way I want it to. And that's just not how it works in the workforce. I think that's probably why a lot of people who are from the older generation probably don't understand our generation. But yeah, that's really all the me generation comes down to. It really boils down to these 3 points. One, it's all about ego. It's not about individualism or seeking out who you are or anything like that. It's all based around your ego and getting satisfaction from that ego. And it's usually the bad ego, which then leads to the second point, which is attention. It's all about me and, ooh, look at how awesome and amazing I am, and ooh, look at my wonderful life that I have. And then it leads basically to point number 3, where people feel they have no obligations or responsibility and they don't need to put any effort into anything. And they feel like that they can just, do whatever they want and take whatever's responsibility they want in life, when really ultimately that's not true. And instead of working, and again this sort of ties in with the third point, instead of working towards their desires and trying to improve themselves along the way, they expect everything to be handed to them on the silver platter. And I'm not saying everybody from my generation is like this, not at all. That's not my point. But my point is I've been seeing this trend happen, and I don't think it is leading to a lot of positive outcomes for my generation. And maybe even some generations that have come in the past. There might have been some me generations that maybe occurred roughly maybe 40, 50 years ago as well. There might have been some meism there too, but I think in particular my generation has stood out in this sense, not only because of social media, but because of just the internet in general, of the ability to interact with people in a fairly short amount of time, that instant, gratification, no time, no effort, no energy. And everything is, instant. You can get it whenever you want it. We expect everything to go 100% smoothly and think that things will always turn out the way that we want them because we think that it'll be handed to us, and that's not how life works. Life doesn't hand you lemonade, you make lemonade. So yeah, that's what I think people seem to miss, unfortunately. And again, this is not all people within my generation or within the previous generations, but it is this generational mentality that has carried over, I think, into my time, as well as probably some time periods before. It's that me ego that I think really puts a damper on the potential of people to do great things, and to improve themselves and, be happy with who they are, because they're always, with the me generations, always seeking that individual's validation rather than looking at the self. If anything, it's more about fulfilling the attention of others and the fulfilling that control over other people, as opposed to really the individual and focusing on themselves and trying to improve themselves, and et cetera, et cetera. So again, that's why individualism is different from the me generation. But yeah, that's what I've been noticing. I'm totally open to whatever anybody else has to say on this topic, but I think that's really ultimately all I can say about it. I'm just saying that this is sort of a generational thing and a generational pattern that I've seen over the years. And I'm not saying everybody from my generation is in this state of the me generation, but I've noticed that there are some people that are within my age group that sort of display these kinds of behaviors, and I don't understand why, but I think a lot of it has to do with parenting and our media and all that stuff. But again, that's kind of a completely different conversation. But yeah, I think the media though sort of validates that whole idea now that it's supposed to be always about you. So yeah, I think it's I think it's just something that that I think people will wake up to the reality of once they get probably a certain age. But I think it makes it harder when you keep living in this me state for so long to finally get out of it and um, not focus so much on the me, but rather the individual and then other people. So yeah, I think that's though really ultimately all I can say about this topic. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.